Hello and welcome. Today we'll be presenting a module called The Basics of Change Management. The Basics of Change Management represents an asynchronous learning module of the Health Professions Education, Evaluation, and Research, or HPEER curriculum. This module will provide you with an introduction to the essential aspects of change management as it relates to your work as an HPEER Fellow. At the end of this module, you should be able to define change management, identify the value of change management on human performance, organizational results, and project risk, and describe common approaches to facilitate individual and systemic level change. Imagine for a minute that a supervisor asks an employee to draft a curriculum focused on teaching and enhancing mentorship skills. This curriculum is developed and reviewed by a team of colleagues and eventually accepted for widespread dissemination. Upon completion, this curriculum begins to collect dust as it sits unused for a year. Realizing this, your new supervisor tasks you with updating and implementing the curriculum across the VA. What would you do? How would you proceed? Change management will guide you through the steps necessary to successfully implement a project. So you may be thinking, what is change management and why should I care about it? Well, change management is a way to coordinate and accelerate change within an organization. It is comprised of a process and tools that are used to lead people through change toward a desired outcome. Health systems and organizations continually encounter change, and HPEER Fellows are commonly expected to manage or even lead change, particularly regarding curriculum transformation and reform. Now that you know more about change management in general, let's look at change management in greater detail. There are 3 levels of change management. As an HPEER Fellow, you may choose to utilize individual change management, which targets transitioning from current state to future state for personal growth. Alternatively, you may come across project-level change management, which centers on designing work tasks to meet objectives and directing resources for use within time and budget constraints. Or you may encounter organizational change management, which focuses on transforming organizational hierarchy, including introducing new processes and software. Over the past decade, studies have shown that the outcomes of any given project are strongly linked to the application and effectiveness of change management. The primary reasons for applying change management include successfully managing resistance, building change competency or awareness within an organization, increasing the likelihood of meeting project goals and objectives, meeting return on investment or ROI goals on time and within budget. What's more, the application of change management directly impacts the speed of change adoption, utilization, and proficiency, which leads toward overall project success. In this figure, you can see that projects with excellent change management implementation were 6 times more likely to effectively meet their objectives than projects with poor change management implementation. When you consider your project and your implementation strategy, think about where your work might fall. We've all been in a meeting like this, with individuals who are highly resistant to change. They often resist so strongly that improvement seems left to chance or magic. The reality of project implementation is that resistance to change is ubiquitous. Change management offers a number of strategies to overcome that resistance. Studies frequently cite that resistance to change is the greatest obstacle to successful change adoption. Typical reactions to change often result in decreased productivity and increased resistance. This means that change can have a destabilizing effect on an organization if not managed properly. However, effective change management can avoid the compounding risks of multiple simultaneous changes that cause organizational instability, productivity declines, and staff turnover. Let's talk next about how change management applies to your work as an HPEER Fellow. Take a moment to consider a project that you may want to complete. Think about the relationship between your intended outcomes and the amount of human change required to achieve those outcomes. Likely 99% of your intended outcomes are dependent upon dissemination and behavioral change. that percentage directly correlates with the importance of getting people on board. Therefore, it's important to recognize that change within an organization is dependent upon the individuals within that organization. Therefore, if people within your intended impact area do not adopt the change, then the particulars of your project become irrelevant and your project will fail. As you develop your HPEER project, it's important to consider your goals for the project, any barriers to implementation, and how easy it will be to spread that change as you develop and enhance your work. No one sets out with the intention of project failure. So let's examine a couple commonly used approaches to change management. There are several approaches to managing the human side of change. One approach the Veterans Administration supports to facilitate individual change is ADKAR. ADKAR represents the 5 steps of individual change management: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement. Let's take a deeper look into this change management model. Developed by Jeff Hyatt, the founder of ProSci, ADKAR bases developing a change management plan on 5 main goals. Let's say that you want to improve the quantity of feedback given to residents on the hospital medicine service. What would be the steps that you would take using ADKAR? Well, first, you would need to increase awareness, or ensure all of the faculty on the hospital medicine service understand the need for change. Next, you would need to foster desire, or make a strong case for why everyone involved should want this change. You might want to address faculty concerns about what's in it for me. Then you would need to increase knowledge, or provide the information each person needs to accomplish their part of the change. Last, you would need to enhance ability, or make sure all employees have the skills and training they need to successfully do their part. And after, you would need to ensure reinforcement, or continue to work with employees and stakeholders after the change is accomplished, to make sure they stay on top of doing things in the new way. This is one approach to change management, but there are many more models that can be adapted and used. Some other approaches to change management include Lewin's change management model. Kurt Lewin developed his model in the 1950s. It aims to divide change into 3 steps: unfreeze, or the preparation phase, change, or the implementation phase, and refreeze, or the sustainment phase. Then there's the McKinsey 7S model. McKinsey & Company consultants developed their model to break down change into 7 key components: 1. Shared values, 2. Structure, 3. Systems, 4. Style, 5. Staff, 6. Skills, 7. Strategy. Breaking organizational change down into these core components helps to avoid overlooking any important factors. There's also Kotter's change management theory. Harvard professor John Kotter created a model that focuses primarily on the psychology of people involved in a change. He divides the progression of change into 8 steps. 1. Create a sense of urgency. 2. Build a guiding coalition. 3. Form strategic vision and initiatives. 4. Enlist a volunteer army. 5. Enable action by removing barriers. 6. Generate short-term wins. 7. Sustain acceleration. 8. Institute change. There's also the nudge theory. The nudge theory is less a step-by-step model than employing a particular mindset to encourage change. Instead of issuing top-down change requests from senior executives and expecting people to fall in line, the nudge theory is about finding a persuasive way to nudge your employees toward wanting the change on their own. This involves thinking about the change you want to make from your employees' point of view, presenting it based on how it will benefit them, treating it as a recommendation more than a command, and listening to feedback throughout the process. For example, the New York City Department of Health used this clever advertisement to nudge people to take the stairs in order to improve the health of its population. There's also the switch model, developed by Dan and Chip Heath. The switch model describes how to strike a balance between the emotional and rational components of decision-making behavior. It rests upon the premise that our emotional and intuitive brain can at times overtake our rational decision-making brain. By balancing the rational rider brain and the emotional elephant brain within each of us, we can shape the path to change. Finally, there's the Bridges transition model. Created by William Bridges, this model emphasizes the emotional transition people go through when experiencing and accepting a change. The model recognizes 3 stages that employees may experience. First, ending, losing, and letting go. Second, the neutral zone. And third, the new beginning. During your time as an HPEER Fellow, you will likely be exposed to many models of change management. And you may find that you like one model better or worse than another. Or you may discover that one approach is better suited to a particular phase of change than another. Adapting and adopting various models is entirely expected. The most important thing is that you like the approach you choose, because that is when your project is most likely to succeed. Thank you for watching this introductory video. We hope that this information has been helpful. If you would like to know more about the content covered in this video, please reach out to your site mentor or contact the HPEER Coordinating Center at vhahou_hpeer@va.gov.